Welcome back to Knowledge is Kings, guys. I am Kings, and I'm just doing a follow-up video. If you didn't see, I did an unboxing for March of Barrel and Blade, and I said I was going to test out some of the items there and give you my thoughts on it, okay? So I did that, and now I'm going to go through each item and tell you what I thought of it. The first item is this little waterproof case here that just opens, and I had mentioned in that video that I didn't feel like this O-ring here really bites down when it closes, and I put this underwater submerged for about a minute, and I shoved it full of paper towel just to see if any part leaked. Now the only opening is here, so I figured that was going to be its only point of access for the water. And after a minute, I took it out. I dried it all off because I didn't want to open it and something just spill in there. So I dried it all off first before I opened it, and the first third of the paper towel was wet. So this is worthless. It wasn't waterproof like it was saying. It's just too gimmicky and too cheap. You know, they need to have this O-ring here pressed down harder into the top there. It just makes it, and then this clips. It doesn't like pull it down or anything like that. So this one is a fail. The next one was this Write in the Rain notepad. So I did some heavy testing with this with water, just sprinkling on it, and it did well. And then I did a test where water from the faucet was just pouring down on it, and it actually held up really well. You can kind of see there is a little bit of wrinkling on the bottom. I don't think it anticipates having heavy water just almost soaking into the bottom like I was doing in the sink. But when I was writing on it, I was able to write on it pretty well. I did find out, I tested a couple different pens. One of the pens could not write during the rain, but if it had water on it and the water stopped, the water kind of beads off. It was able to write in there just fine. But as soon as water came on again, all the ink came right off. The ink would not stay on the paper. And actually, it was one of the cheaper pens, like you get like a 40 pack for $1. Though that ink actually stayed on the paper, but it didn't have the best time writing on the paper even after the water had beat it off. But what you could get on there actually stayed. And when I say the other pen ink came off, I mean it came totally off. It was not any little part left. The only thing left was the indentation of where you press the pen. Other than that, it was all gone. So this is pretty good. I didn't try and wait to see if the ink dried. Like, let's say you wrote on it and let it sit for an hour. I didn't try that. So maybe that pen would work, but I think it would work if you're writing on it normally in dry conditions and it happened to get wet with one of the cheaper pens. Another thing I didn't even notice when I first got this is on the back there is a little ruler that goes up to about 4 1/4 inches, and then one of centimeters that goes up to 11 inches. Or sorry, centimeters, obviously. It goes up to 11 centimeters. And then on the inside, it has, on the front cover, it has some useful conversions here. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on there or not, but so it has US to metric and then metric to US, and then it has conversions for both statute miles and nautical miles, and then it has conversions for maps for the scaling and how many 1 inch equals how many feet or miles. So that's kind of cool. Useful to have something like that around. Let's say if you're in survival conditions and you forget your phone and you can't just easily Google it or something like that, you have some useful conversions right here. So that's pretty nice. I don't know that I would ever go out and buy this, but now that I have it, it's definitely something useful to keep around in your emergency to-go bag. All right, the next thing were these Walker Razor head muffs, electronic head muffs. So these are the kind that can amplify sound, but as soon as there's a loud sound such as a gunshot, it mutes all sound. Okay, so these work really well for when you're at the range and you're with a talking buddy. You can talk normally until you start firing, and then it cuts all sound off. So I took this to the range, and these are really nice. They're super comfortable, and the sound quality is a lot better. I was using electronic earmuffs before this, but they were Caldwell brand. I think they were like $30 at Menards or something like that. This one said at MSRP, I think last time, for $75. Don't quote me on that, unless you want to look at one of my other videos where you can quote me on it, because I was reading off a list. But these are way better, way more comfortable. The sound quality is way better. How it turns on and off is so much better. Just the rolling of the finger up there. I really like it. It has an audio in, which I don't think I'll ever use that, but it does have a weather seal there. So if that's something that you use, you'll definitely like that. I don't think I ever will, but it's there if I ever decide I want to. So these, excellent. I would definitely recommend these. And these were, again, Walker Razors electronic earmuffs. The next thing was the storage holder thing. Now it does have this little slot for, it's supposed to be a Bic lighter. And mine obviously does not fit. It's not a Bic. So if you have one, you can easily store it in there. Now, this thing actually works really well for what it's intended to do. So it has a cutter on one end, and it works very well. You just push it in there, and it takes zero effort. Now, how long it'll last being sharp, I'm not sure. But it also has these little notches here. And what these are used for, you can throw your paracord in there, and then get this heated up with a lighter, not that hot, and then just pull it through. And it's supposed to make a nice tip for you, especially if your ends look like this. So it works well to squeeze it together. Sometimes when you light it up, it bubbles out and you're trying to get it with your finger when it's really hot. This works well for just squishing it down for you. And then you just can put it through here to start it. And once it bends over, it doesn't want to pull out. You can just wrap it up. So I only had, this is all the paracord I have, other than like an emergency bracelet that has a few feet of it, which I wasn't going to take apart for this. But I had this little bit I could test it with. Now that's all the testing. I haven't put it through any more rigorous testing, how much it takes to break it or anything like that. But this actually seems to work pretty well, and it feels pretty heavy duty. So I think this is another good thing to keep around if you have a lot of paracord. The last thing is this Voyager knife. Now, it has a spot to open it with your thumb, and it's a very heavy duty knife. This plastic seems really light and thin, but the blade is very heavy and very heavy duty. Very sharp, works real well. But I tried carrying it for a day, and when I want to pull it out, like I do so often with my normal knife, I noticed that this one is just a little more cumbersome to open than what I'm used to. Now, if you've never carried a knife around with you during the day, maybe this, and see, now I have to almost adjust my hand and to get it up going higher. Maybe that's not too bad for you, maybe if you have bigger hands, but it just seems so hard, and it's such a long arc to do. It wasn't very comfortable for me. And so I'll show you what my normal carry knife is this, okay? So this is an SOG, and the way it opens is just flicking the thumb. So I'm used to something that is extremely fast. I pull it out and just boom, it's open. You know, I really like that. I do like having a serrated edge, which this one doesn't have. But this knife, I'm not saying this is a bad knife. I just think as far as EDC, everyday carry, it's not the knife I'm going to carry. This knife here is aluminum, aircraft grade aluminum, and it's very lightweight, yet I know it's really strong, and it pops open really well. And I've had this blade for a couple years now, and I use it every day. Everyone needs to open something like every day or cut something, and this is here. This one, I just don't have that speed with this one, and that's one thing I wasn't really happy with. Not that it makes the knife bad, I just think in terms of an everyday carry knife, it's not as nice as this SOG with the assisted open. I would recommend this knife for your emergency bag or something. It's very big, very robust, heavy blade, which I really like. So in that respect, I would recommend this knife. If you're going to get an everyday carry knife that you're carrying with you everywhere, I would want something a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter, and a little bit faster to open. Well, that is everything from the Barrel and Blade box that I got, just so you could kind of see what I thought about the tools in there. I've seen a ton of unboxings for Barrel and Blade, but I have never seen anybody revisiting them to say, hey, yeah, it was actually kind of some good, useful tools that you would get in there. Do I think some of the stuff that they put, the price tag is overpriced? Yeah, probably. You know, I don't think the little notepad, that's 50-cent notepad, would pay. I don't think you'd pay $4 for it. But some of the stuff is stuff that you would actually use. So if you're thinking about getting a Barrel and Blade subscription, it might not be a bad idea if you like these things. And I do have another Barrel and Blade unboxing for April you can watch, so you can look if you're on the fence, like, boy, do I really want to get a Barrel and Blade subscription? You can go check out that video, see if you like what's there, and I will again be doing another video after I test the products out. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and feel free to check out some of my other videos I've already done. That's it for today. We will see you in the next video.
Oh, I like that.